Bruce, and today with me on A Girl, a Guy in a Movie, I have Janet from another planet. Janet, we just watched a movie from 2006. It's
Mhm.
out of our friends in New Zealand. How did you like Black Sheep?
Well, it was different.
Oh, okay,
It was different than any other movie I've ever seen. I guess you would call it a horror comedy.
hmm
It was some really bad dialogue and stuff that just the feng shui and all that stuff was just over the top stupid. I mean, but what more do you expect from a horror comedy? So,
Um, I'm just I'm just gonna say that I agree with what Six Nation says here. I'm all right with it.
well, yeah, that stuff was really good. The
So
the special effects were freaking phenomenal. The detail. I sent you that one video, that the one thing when I was trying to find
when they're showing
costumes.
all the making of the miniatures and
Yeah,
all
the
that.
detail they went in just to make the sheep by putting the eyelashes on with real hair. And I mean that I mean the sheep looked phenomenal. It was still scary, but I will never look at sheep the same after today. So I can
I,
definitely say that.
I'm a large fan of this movie. I saw it at the tender age of 45, and it's one of these films that whenever I talk to people about movies, like if we go into like uh, movies about humans doing things they shouldn't be doing, this movie is usually within the first top three because to me it's a high watermark. And knowing that it was made for less than $5 million because they're so proud of the $5 million they made at the box office, obviously they made like this film on like 1.1 million or 1.5 million, maybe 2 million at most. And
Well,
it's
I
very
could
funny
tell
movie.
they enjoyed themselves making this
Oh
movie.
my God, there's
I
so
would
many.
love to see bloopers. It would definitely be worth it to
Well,
me.
there's some good news for that. I guess in the last year they've been talking about there's a sequel that's going to be released this year.
So is
And
that popular? It's like a cult classic now, isn't it?
completely cult classic.
Hmm.
It had a very limited release. When I first read about it, it was like back in an analog magazine or Fangoria, one of the two. And this movie is crazy with just the amount of professionalism that you see in front and behind the camera
Hmm.
for as little money as they spent. Like this is kind of like a feels like an early Sam Raimi
It
project.
was like a shoestring budget. Now, one thing I did have time to look up was the tunnel that they were climbing through and stuff. That was completely man-made,
Yeah, it's
just for the
amazing.
movie,
Yeah,
which it made it. It was so claustrophobic for me watching that. And then when you saw him react because he got bit on the foot, his shoe was getting chewed on. They did such a good job considering they had such a cramped space, and when they usually build those types of tubes and stuff for you to crawl through, the sides open. It's got an opening along the whole side so the camera can just slide along. Okay, at least the ones that I've seen, and they did a great job at keeping the camera at the angle to where you can see the facial expressions, of the actors as they're scooting along in the tube, because they're really scooting along because it's really a tube. It's just that it's open a little bit on the sides for the cameraman and stuff, or for makeup or whatever to touch up the actors. But the marionette puppets that they did, the work that they went through just to make the sheep look, you know, real, and the sound effects, I couldn't tell that they weren't real sheep. The sounds and the way they interacted by putting the real sheep in and then transferring really quickly
yeah.
with the
Oh, yeah.
puppets,
The
it
edits
was
this movie
good.
are so good. I just I'm just gonna say that if you're not familiar with the movie Black Sheep, then you need to. I'm going to put it in the chat for you.
Yeah, you need to watch it. It was it definitely, but don't watch it with kids. Don't watch it with kids.
Well, here's the part about this movie that I was wanting the most. I when I watch these movies with Janet, I have this dream in my head, this fantasy where Janet can shut the doors, gates come down, nobody fucks with her. Nobody fucking calls her.
You've seen my sister put her hand in the curtain, and I got everyone and their brother just showing up and sticking their hands in and shit, you know. So I can't
I
have
love how
a
that
place
is.
where I'm free.
No such thing as
No
back to the
interruptions.
life.
So that doesn't happen at my house.
So, anyway, her nephew comes in and he's like, "What are you doing?" Because he sees her dressing up, and she's like, "Well, I'm going to watch a movie and do a review. Can I do it with you? I'll let you watch the movie with me." But she has to show the trailer to his mom first, and the mom is like, "Yeah, that's fine, whatever." Kid's like 9, 8-year-old kid watching Black Sheep, which is like the greatest gore fest since Dead Again or Brain Dead, or no, Dead Alive.
Well, before you go into I have to say this. I've never seen this, so this is my first time watching it. The thing is, I did see the trailer, which is pretty gruesome in itself, and there's a scene where there's a gentleman with no pants on in a room alone. It's dark with a sheep. So I was white knuckling through the whole movie, waiting for that scene, going, "Oh my God, how am I going to handle this situation?" So I was more worried about what was about to happen because I was trying to shield someone from it than being able to try to really, laugh and not be paranoid, but was paranoid through this whole thing. It was an experience for me. I'm gonna have to have a few drinks, I think, after we're finished, because
the whole movie, Janet's asshole's just clenched shut because she's got her nephew and like, "Please God, no naked half sheep, no giant titty sheep,
no
disgusting things I can't show my 7-year-old nephew."
Yeah, but the transformations were gruesome, and I was like, "Holy crap!" It was like were sheep. That's what they were. A couple more were sheep, because once you were bitten by one of these scientifically altered,
starts going downhill.
Yeah, it was really gruesome, but the special effects were just top notch. Some of the scenes I even felt were as good as American Werewolf in London. The way that they transformed.
A lot of it looks like Rick Baker, and I'm not going to say. I'll say Rob Bottin's non-howling work, because his howling is fine.
Howling.
The howling is fine until you say, "Well, that movie came out like a month before American Werewolf in London," and you're like, "Oh," because the howling has a great transformation scene, but then the American Werewolf in London comes out with the defining transformation scene for a werewolf from a human, and you're like, "Shit, nothing really can compare to that." And it's fine, it really is, but it's kind of sad because you're watching this, and this is like that level. It's almost as good as American Werewolf in London, and I recommend anybody that wants to watch a great film, get a hold of Black Sheep. I'm putting the link.
What was the other one that was really famous? It was I think it was the most famous one I've ever heard of for horror comedy, the zombie one with the one British actor. Yes. Okay. Now, the script wasn't quite as good as Shaun of the Dead, but it was really close. But it was as good as that one on special effects for sure. And the backdrop. I mean, it looked like a real sheep farm. It looked like a real like you really were in New Zealand, you know what I mean? Like you were really there, and it was beautiful. I mean, the countryside, the fencing, the one actor that was the farm helper, the one who was trying to drag the sheep by his 2 front paws to get it over the fence. He acted like a real person who really handled sheep and stuff. So it was all very authentic, and I would have believed that that was possibly made, in wherever it was made. It seemed believable, except, the fact that he had a fear of sheep and why he did. But he had a mean, horrible brother. I felt sorry for him right off the bat. The actor that played the older brother was a total asshole. He was happy to see him turn into a gross were sheep, but it was horrible. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
What are you gonna do?
Nah, you're good. I'm just adding, putting if you're in the chats on Rumble, I'm trying to find myself on Twitter real quick so I can just put this link in the chat.
Well, a couple of scenes were really funny. It was the one where you see the brother and he goes into the laboratory, the older brother, the one who's funding all the weird scientific experiments and stuff. Now, she was a total bitch, and she did a really good job at being the bitch scientist or whatever. But her assistant, I really felt bad for him. But every time I saw him when he first come back on the camera, he reminded me of the actor that used to be Kermit the Frog's voice. Out of the corner of my eye when I'd see him, I can't remember the actor, but that's who popped in my head every time.
It looks like him.
It did. He looked like he could be his brother or something. But when she went out into the parking lot to go out to the vehicle to leave, and that guy was laying there being eaten by sheep, the guy that's supposedly been working with her all this time, she just kind of went, oh, like no big deal. It was.
Tease him, and she asks, "Have you been eating meat? Is it organic at least?"
Yeah, that one too. That was funny. But see, that's what was funny is the fact that they had the two animal activists, that were going to jump over the fence and go down there and cause havoc, for this scientist group that were supposed to be doing genetic experiments on animals. But we didn't know for sure whether, especially for me, because I hadn't seen it before. I didn't know what they were doing. What they were doing. But when they went in and snuck in and you saw that sheep, it really looked like a real sheep that was completely stripped of all its fur. It was cut open and gutted and just had that heart pumping in there with all the tubing stuck to it. Oh, that was so gruesome and disgusting, but it was very realistic. And my mother would have had nightmares if she'd seen that scene. So it was way over the top. They did a phenomenal job on that kind of stuff. And when he pulled his shoe off, the one guy that got bit in the truck while he was fighting that sheep, I laughed my butt off during that scene. It was funny how that was going on, but him getting bit through his rubbers, and his foot had changed into a goat foot, or a sheep foot. Was pretty disgusting too. But did you notice that all the people that transformed into were-sheep were all men? There wasn't. They didn't have any women.
Well, I think they did that for a specific reason. That reason being, like, the last thing you want to do is like have a lycanthropic sex change or a lycanthropic shape shifting moment, and like the get furry. And you don't want to have like somebody in the audience be like, the fucking director, the supervisor of special effects, the guy that supervised this bullshit is a furry. You don't want to have that. I don't want to have a female like werewolf scene anything more than what I saw at the end of the Howling Part 1. And I thought,
where she's delicately looking, like a soft and cat-like. You know what I mean? She looked pretty as a werewolf still. Yeah. And harmless, even though you'd probably be more afraid of her. But the one scene that I really went, oh my God, I'm going to die. I hope he doesn't talk about this later. I'm going to be so embarrassed. He's going to talk about this to other people in my family. The scene where he's naked, he's like, my babies, just standing there naked. And he's no longer a were sheep, remember? The older brother, and the one sheep takes revenge against him by biting on his wiener and pulling it. Oh, I was so embarrassed for that whole scene. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I do.
And then the other brother had the sheepskin leather covers over him, and he's crawling on his hands and knees, and he's holding that trophy, the shearing trophy, and all of a sudden you hear a grunting sound and you see the sheep over him, and he's like, what's going on, my nephew? And I went, I don't know. I didn't know what to say, but that was tough. That was a really tough scene. So don't watch this with children. That's all I could say. I'm
going to show this.
I'm so embarrassed. But it was
You've made it my fucking mission in 2 months when we do the Thanksgiving dinner, and
oh my God.
we're gonna watch this movie if I get my way, because it's
Oh,
just
at your mom's dad's.
at my cousin's house, and
Oh my God.
we're
Oh,
and have just show this to everybody during Thanksgiving. There's all the gore, all the blood. Most of my family has been in some form of like either animal husbandry or butching, or they've done some sort of like close with farm animals shit. So like all of us know what it's like to like have to yank on fucking intestines and kind of like skin an animal or skin a beast or defeather something. All of us have this. So it's one of those movies that if you don't mind seeing that, it's just like another Wednesday. And this, there's like 25 minutes of this movie where there's just complete, just blood, guts, gore, and it's so well done.
mhm.
It's an absolute classic, a baller movie.
Yeah, and if you have a weak stomach, you be prepared. Make sure you have something because
Got a weak stomach.
I think I got a pretty good strong stomach because I've never thrown up. I mean, I've gotten disgusted by that. You poop in a jar, a few other little things that we've seen in some of these movies. But when they fell into that pit and landed in that giant mound of
Parts,
whatever it was that they had, bits and pieces and body parts, things that they supposedly were trashing from the laboratory they didn't need or they were done with. That was disgusting. And when they both started sitting up and it was just every crooked cranny on their face was covered, that was disgusting. So I have no idea what that was, but it looked very real and disgusting and stinky. I can just imagine how bad it smelled.
this movie is just, it's an unsung classic. When it came out, it had no advertising budget. I heard about it at a game store, and this is probably the worst special effect in the movie.
No, I thought that was pretty gruesome. It's just the fact that he threw it and it busted open and it was that far away from him. If they were going to have it on his back, if he fell on it and then he lifted up and you see the broken jar and it's empty and then you saw it on his back, that's what I would have done a little different with that one scene. But yeah, it was pretty gross.
And I gotta say, like this Danielle Mason, never seen her in anything else. Never have watched her. In this movie, she makes a convincing turn. She really does. It reminded me.
I thought she did a good job.
Yeah, this actor
him too.
Meister, yeah, he's pretty fucking good. The start of the movie, completely scared of sheep. Had a traumatic event as a young boy. You get to see it. It's funny as hell
because of his brother.
Except to him, it's not funny, but everybody else is gonna laugh. And it sets up the entire film, and from there he does his arc as well. But I thought they did such a good job. This guy here, Jonathan King, Black Sheep, this is a director. And this was his first major film. The first major film he'd done, and 10, 20 years later, people still talk about this movie.
Yeah, the scene okay, just thinking about his thought process as a director, looking up past the cottage, the house, over the roof area, and looking up at the hills, because there's lots of hills in some areas, and to see all those sheep coming up over the hill, knowing they're coming towards the property once they get down the dip and up again, that was very very well done, the way they did it to bring up the your heart starts pounding faster, knowing where you're going to go. There's nowhere to go. You're trapped, and you can't outrun sheep. You know what I mean? No. It was there she is. That's the glasses I wish I'd had.
Candy Wright is her name.
Yeah,
she's a really good actress, and she sells her role pretty good in this movie.
Yeah, she was a really good snotty bitch that wanted, all she was thinking was bottom dollar where she's going to get.
MVP of the film for the character. I fucking love Grandma. I think she's great.
Yeah, and that one scene where she's standing outside the vehicle and then two kiss, the kiss in the movie, and they're covered with blood and shit, and it was disgusting thinking about it. But he said, wow, they're kissing in front of their grandma or something like that. That was a little bit, that he realized what they were doing and how embarrassing that might be. But
Yeah.
that guy, he did a good job at being a total dickhead.
I love his character. I like I said, this movie for me,
He's obnoxious and an asshole.
yeah, like what was the movie we watched last week?
I'm trying to remember the name of it right this second. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, it wasn't Lady Hawk, was it?
No, I thought it was the other one that was in between. Yeah, hold on. Let me look it up. I can't remember. It was. I got slower internet than you do, I'm sure. But it was good. Let's see.
You're right, it was good, but I watch movies like that and I was like, yeah, that's pretty all right, you know. I watch movies like this and I'm thinking, man, I really love this movie.
Yeah, you laughed out loud a lot. So
Not without my daughter. And I rated that an 80%.
Yeah, not without my daughter. That's what it was.
I'm going to drop that score just a wee bit to 75 because the more I think about it, I don't want to watch that movie again. Like, that's a good one watch. And I'm going to say it's a 3.5 star film. 70, 75. 75 is good for me.
Yeah. Last week's.
Yeah, that was last week's film.
Yeah, that was a hard watch.
Yeah.
That was really hard because there's so much in it that's still prevalent today.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
nothing's changed.
This one, you can't say anything like that because there's nothing in this movie that is prevalent to anything. I mean, no. I love the fact.
Actually, hold up. Remember Lucy? I believe her name was Lucy.
Yeah, she was a cloned.
Yes.
Sheep. Yes.
Yes. The fucking clone sheep they shoved down our throats in fucking 1996 or 1998, whenever it was. Mm-hmm. And I remember EA Sports had one of the best advertisements for their sports games. They said, science is trying to clone sheep and blah, blah, blah. We're trying to make the AI to where Michael Jordan slam dunks your ass on some NBA game or something. And I remember they had that stupid sheep there in a basketball jersey. They had another one with a stupid sheep in the hockey outfit and the NFL outfit. They went the full gamut in some of the magazines. At the time, EA used to be an edgy company because video gamers were not in the mainstream, so we were cool to be punk rock, and we were fine with it. We but Lucy was something that they shoved down our throats in the late 90s, and they said, oh, we can clone sheep now, and then they shut the fuck up about it because now they're cloning like Dogman for fucking Michiganers or something.
Well, remember, they did the dire wolves and a few other animals supposedly that they've cloned. So
4% direwolf genetics does not convince me.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I'm saying. The thing is that it's the only thing in this movie that really resembles anything else is the fact that it's like a were sheep.
Yeah.
You know, they're biting something.
Yes.
Now, we've seen them work in laboratories and do all kinds of genetic testing, so that's not new either. But the fact that England doesn't really have predators besides fox, I mean,
wolves.
Do they have wolves?
England's got a fuck ton of wolves. That's why
I didn't know they had a lot of wolves. I thought they had like coyote type little dogs, but not really big predators. They don't have bear. They don't have anything like that. Yeah. So the fact that they turned something that everyone usually loves, you know, took a little lamb or ewe, and they're all fluffy and soft and makes nice clothes for us and stuff, and made it the terroristic threat. You know, I just thought that was.
This is a good scene right here. Mm-hmm. I love the scene when they fucking try to barricade the door and the sheep decides to go above the barricade, batter the door, gets shot, and still shoves his head back in the door to take another bullet.
Yeah, and the fact that they did that, and you saw the blood splatter, you know, the way it came from the actual head that was through the door, because when the head disappeared, you know, when we looked at it again, there was no head, but you could see the splatter, and it looked authentic. I mein, look at that. Look how good a job they did to make it look like. How they got the sheep to keep going back to that. They must have been something real good treat they put in there.
Treats there. They put.
They had to, because I read about it and it said that they had like so many
raspberries.
They had, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever. Was it
raspberries. The
raspberry?
raspberries would fucking make the mouths all red.
Yeah, but the thing is, they had some sheep that were trained,
Yeah.
to do certain things, to eat or to stick their head through the door, things like that. Then they had the wonderful sheepdog. That sheepdog is what really sold it for me. That because some of the way it acted around the sheep, the real ones. So I was like, it was authentic. And some of this stuff was real campy, like that scene right there that you're showing.
Love it.
But it was still great. But I started laughing my butt off when that mutant baby that guy stole was chewing his ear off.
Yes.
I was rolling. It was so funny, but it was good. It was entertaining. Just like someone said earlier in the chat, that's what you're paying for when you go to the movies. You just want to get away from real life and watch something that takes you completely out of your worries, on your daily basis. And it can do that. Definitely do that. But look at great job that is.
I would completely pay modern movie theater prices to see this movie on the big screen.
Oh, me too. I think it'd be really good.
This is one of the finest creature features I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. I've seen so many. I've seen so many.
Have you ever petted a real sheep?
Yeah. After I turned my back, he tried turning into a ram and tried knocking me over because he hit me in the knee and calf.
Yeah.
He was being kind of a dick. And that's from what I understand. They were kind of like, they're supposed to be like that, I guess. I don't know. But my friends all say, well, that's what sheep do. The goats too. And I'm like, no wonder we fucking eat the shit out of these things. No, I mean, I don't like lamb myself. I don't like goat.
I don't like lamb. I've eaten it, tried to eat it a few times, cooked different ways, and there's something about it. I just don't like the taste. I'd
rather cook a leg of lamb in a pan, and then after I'm done with the 3 hours of 450 cooking the leg of lamb, throw the leg out and eat the pan than eat the fucking leg of lamb. I'm not into it. I'd rather have chicken. Like the most bland ass chicken and some great value potato salad, anything lamb or goat. And
I love chicken. I grew up, and I even in high school in the summer worked at a chicken plant. To save money. So that's how you did.
Perfect fucking still right there.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, it really is. They did a phenomenal job, but I recommend if you can share that link that I sent to you with the videos, it automatically opens all the videos. You can watch the things they went through to make the movie. Everybody needs to watch that because that right there shows you how much detail that they all took time to make, especially the sheep, because they've got marionette puppets. They have ones that you actually have to put your hand in, and then they have other ones that none of them are mechanical. Okay, these are all done by puppetry, and that is, people just don't realize how hard that is, and it takes a lot of work. But you could tell they loved this. Everybody that worked on this movie loved working on it, and you could tell they put a lot of detail into all the different facts of this movie to make this as realistic as they possibly could, considering most people aren't going to look at a sheep as a threat. And that's what I thought was so cool about it. It was totally different than what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. It completely knocked my socks off the first time I watched it, which I kind of wish I'd watched it a little more, maybe like 3 or 4 times since then. This is my second viewing of it today.
Yeah,
and
my first.
Completely, made me realize, like, this is an unsung classic. I'm going to share this to my mom and dad. I'm absolutely positively sure my mother will never watch this movie.
Yeah, my mother, I would never recommend this to my mother. My mother would have thrown up after the very first scene with a little tiny nasty puppet that chewed on that guy's ear. She would have threw up or something.
I think there's an 80% chance I could sell my dad on watching this film. And I think it would come out like a good sale, because this is one of the better films I've seen that do creature feature movies correct. And hey, Jackie Blue's here. And Six Nations puts up a very disturbing fact. when they filmed this movie, there was like only what 3 million people in New Zealand, and there's like 40 million sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this movie's brought out, like when people are talking about, oh, that's funny, you're doing a creature feature on sheep, and then they discuss it for more than 5 minutes, and it comes around kind of like the serious side, like, that's a really disturbing thought if you decide to give us a bunch of fucking were sheep, and they have that discussion, which I thought was perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
if you've never seen a good creature feature, or if you have been a while since you've seen a good creature feature, please go see this movie. I put the link out there. Black Sheep 2006. It's free on Tubi right now. So if you're in America,
Oh.
you can watch it at no cost. There's other places. If you just do a Bing video search, you can find it, and it's well worth your time. We already know Six Nations and I are absolutely aligned on this. Hardwick, good man, very, very, very strong man. This is a very interesting. It was interesting to hear from his perspective just how much he loved and got the movie, because I don't ever see him as like being like he could watch good like classic schlock like this. But man,
But you know what? This was 10 times better than that one movie I tell you that I hate. My worst hated movie. This was like hand over fist, hundreds of times better.
Shadowhawk talk
With entertainment purposes. You know what I mean? But it was good. I mean, you could tell that they worked really hard on it. Now, the thought process I would like to find out more about is the person who wrote the screenplay for it. I mean, where did the idea come from them to turn it into a were sheep? That's just very different.
It's Jonathan King. So I'm wondering if John King was kind of one of those guys watching things back in the late 90s, and he's hearing all these people talk about how I hate saying highfalutin, but some people, whenever they have a breakthrough, or they have a new change of perspective, they get this rooted thought process like, oh, I'm better than you. And a lot of scientists do that. That's like the biggest community that will do that, because 1800s, the age of science is rolling around, Louis Pasteur stuff, penicillin, other small discoveries here and there. And then instead of calling these funny bones we excavate out of the ground dragon bones, so he's like, they're not dragon bones. Those are terrible lizard bones. But instead, we'll just call them dinosaurs, because it's Latin and it sounds smarter, right? Mm-hmm. And like the entire scientific community's kind of never looked back at it ever since then. They've always felt like, we've been the R&D, we know what we're talking about, blah 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 blah. Wear a mask. Yeah. And they always have that separate mindset where they're better than the rest of the sheep of us. And I think that's kind of where John King got this. If I just put on my thinking cap and I just RP for a moment, that would be where I would have gone with this movie. That's where I would have came from to the finished product, which is this classic piece of cinema that everyone deserves to see. Children, oldsters, everybody, New Zealand sheep people.
Well, has he made any other movies, the director of this movie?
Well, Jonathan King has been involved in some things. And
very many movies come from New Zealand or not?
What a Workshop is in New Zealand. They're one of the primary people who help make this classic piece. And that's where Peter Jackson filmed the greatest film trilogy of all time.
Yeah, that's Lord of the Rings, right?
Of course. So
yeah, because of look at the beautiful landscape that you can make your own by putting whatever you want to do in the movie.
He's written some things before. He wrote Bike Tears Were Blue. He did the short direction. That's a short film. He directed it in '97. Mm-hmm. Time went on. Something happened, and then he comes out in 2006 with Black Sheep. Writing, I'm not seeing. That was his first real project. In 07, he does
And
the
the
tattooist.
people he got to do the special effects, were they all from New Zealand too?
What a workshop!
And that's
That,
from New Zealand, right?
that's all New Zealand.
Well, see, all of them were excellent. I would hire any of them to work on my horror movie.
I
I
would,
mean,
I
I
would,
thought they were
I,
so talented,
I would,
especially after I watched all those videos, because I was like, you got to be kidding when I saw them put the eyelashes, on the sheep,
Yeah.
and stuff. It was that good. And then once I saw that, and then I saw them blowing up some of the heads and stuff, I was like, oh, how heartbreaking would that be to go through all that work to create something, basically a work of art, and then see it explode? That would be really hard.
I thought the gags in this movie, the sight gags, are pretty much still top tier humor material in 2025. I mean, you heard me laugh, and I have a nice microphone, but it does not mute. This does not mute. There's a movie he did called, or a video he did called Under the Mountain, and apparently it didn't get too good of press, but then he does Reality in 2014, and that's only a 5.6. What I'm really surprised about is that Black Sheep has a 5.8 rating on IMDb, like a 71-point rating on Tomatoes, and it's not really talked about until this last year when they started making noise about we're doing Black Sheep 2, and it's notated on his IMDb.
Yeah, but a lot of people might think that Black Sheep 2 is based on the other movie, because every time I talked about it, they were all thinking it was that other movie, the comedy.
It's currently in production. It's in pre-production right now, so I'm very happy that that's being at least started up. I hope they have the funding. I hope they can make this movie. It made me so happy watching this movie with you. I just wish we had our microphones on, because I would have laughed just hearing you all just laughing.
That's why I didn't have my mic on, because I was like,
I didn't realize your nephew was there next to you.
Well, I wanted to text you, but I never got a chance, because I was too busy trying to make sure that if I had to, I could pick up the bowl of popcorn or move it, do something to block the screen. So I didn't get to focus, as much as I wanted to into like I normally do. But I'm sure that won't happen all the time. This is the first time that's happened. But the fact that he wanted to watch it was like, I didn't know how to react. What was I going to say? No, it's too grown up for you or whatever, and then get him upset. And I just said, you have to ask your mom. And I figured she'd watch the trailer and say, no way. But when she said, oh, I don't care, I was like, oh my God, she's putting it on me, that type of thing. So, oh well. That's what happens.
Have a good nap, Warrior. It's one of those films that as the years have gone by, I've talked with this movie before today with maybe about 50 to 70 people. And I mean, most of them are all captive because they're all playing the game with us. They're my players. And it's one of those few movies that you throw out there like, hey, go check this out, or here's the link, go see it. And the next time you watch it, you're having this discussion with them. And it's fucking amazing that this movie, with zero advertising budget, it's so well received by just regular people, not professional movie, not professional movie critics. I drive
just normal person.
Yeah, I drive a shit truck for a living. And, I mean, nobody's going to expect me to, replace Gene Siskel. But it's kind of funny that you talk to normal people and they're always positive about this movie. The most they might say is like, there was one part where I had to turn it off because, well, I've got 8-year-old kids and like they're pulling this lady's intestines out. That kind of disturbed my 7-year-old.
Did you really think that was worse than the sheep with the beating heart that was completely stripped? That was the most gruesome, actual, realistic looking.
That right there, like that didn't really shock me. The scene on the hillside when all the sheep charge the seated people, the new protege
viewing of his whatever it was, he was presentation.
The new oil-filled sheep, old felt sheep.
God.
Uh, like that right there completely was just like so much joy in my heart watching that. But then when my friends came back to me, like out of the tens of people I've shown this movie to or had them like go watch it, only one complaint, and it was like my 7-year-old started crying and that lady got her fucking intestines ripped out. I'm like, that was the scene? Really? You know, I'm such an asshole about it, but
Yeah.
it's me.
Yeah,
That's
that was all real, very realistic, and you could tell that
oh,
that the director was hands on all of that because in that
everything.
video that I sent you with the video things, I watched it, and he's very hands on about where they put all the stuff, how much blood they put on there, and what was coming off of each of the people. And that one guy with the when he was crawling backward away from the sheep that had just chewed his leg off, and he picks up his own leg and throws it at him. Just little subtleties like that in it were just genius by the director to put those little subtle things in there for dark humor, and and that's what you expect when you watch a dark comedy. So
This is one of
and
my
that this definitely had all that in it. So if you love that stuff, you will love this movie. I mean, this I can tell you right now, you could do a whole Halloween party around this movie and have your people show up in character, from the movie, decorate your house and have like guts and stuff to eat and have like punch with eyeballs floating, sheep eyeballs. I mean, you could do so much around this for teenagers, college age students, that kind of stuff, and have a blast on Halloween with this movie. I just think it would be a hit. I mean, a hit party. It would be a great party, I think. Sorry, I'm kind of morbid, but I wouldn't invite, 10, 11-year-olds to it,
yeah, I get it.
but
I
it would be fun.
I mean, this movie is not eclipsing anything I've rated a 98 or higher.
Mm.
It is still a movie that is I'm putting at a high 90s.
It was perfect.
This is easily an A movie for me, and I'm going to rate this movie at a 90%.
Mhm.
Probably my highest creature feature, sans The Thing, because there's a little bit more. Uh, I hate to say this. I'm not trying to slam on Jonathan King, the director. I think he did a really good job. This is a good debut effort. This is everything
Mhm.
I want to see in a movie.
Mhm.
This is a promise of things to come. Um, this movie is like Evil Dead and Dead Alive,
Mhm.
and it's an early out for a director that just comes out swinging for the fences, and he fucking Babe Ruths the shit out of it. He knocks the cover right off the fucking ball. And if you've never seen it before, you don't have to watch us any further. Just go watch this movie. Just go enjoy yourself. Watch some sheep tear up New Zealand and enjoy yourself because it is so much fun.
The sheep are getting revenge,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, all the fucking times they were beaten by a 12-year-old kid, because I had so many friends I worked with that were
Mhm.
at Mount Zion or at Dalton City that their friends had sheep, and so they would have, for money they'd go be a farmhand for a few hours a day, and the sheep would fucking like knock them down or just nip them a bit, try to be assholes, but they weren't malicious like in this movie.
Like goats. Goats are way meaner.
I have a I have a hatred of goats. Like I would eat goats if it meant that they would just stop existing, but fuckers keep breeding them too much, and then we have an entire religion which subsists off of them.
Hmm.
So I'm sad. I guess I should have more kids, right? Okay, so I'm just saying that like this is a fantastic movie to watch, and it's really like what Six Nations just posted. It's close in my top 10. It's easily probably in my top 15 movies of all time. And one of these days I'll have to actually make that list concrete so you guys can see that. But this is one of my top 10 films. Knowing that Janet had never seen it, never heard of it, and then showing her the trailer, I'd set the
I
bar
knew I was in trouble.
low. That trailer sets the bar oh so low because it makes it look like it was made for $10, and they
Yeah.
only made
They
for
definitely did. I was pleasantly surprised because after seeing the trailer, I was not expecting any kind of quality or anything. So when I did get to watch it, and I actually got to really pay attention to the scenes, the backdrop. The it wasn't so much costumes because it looked like they were just regular clothes. Even today, right now, what I would think people would wear in the countryside and stuff. The vehicles, I mean, I don't really know that much about, but they were driving on the opposite side. That stuff.
Scene where they have the fight going on in the blue truck, and the
Yeah,
guy
it was so good.
escapes the cab of the truck, and he's like, "Who's driving?" And now it shows a sheep behind the wheel, and the sheep like, and
Yeah.
laughed my ass off.
Yeah, it was good. They did a great job at making you laugh at inappropriate times too.
Four full days for them to make that shot. That 8 seconds on film, 4 days. You guys don't understand what it is to labor until you've done something of that nature. Like, so much work, so many people, so many man hours to make that look good. And then after that scene where that's in the cab with the sheep behind him, then they show the truck rolling down a hill and slam into the rocks. That's all one take, like maybe 20 minutes of prep.
But the thing is, I get a little bit different perspective because I have been on a set and I have been back, where the stand-ins and stuff get to be with the director and the assistant director and the camera people, and they're waiting around, or the makeup people ready to run over and touch people up, and see the little camera area that the director sees. Because when you're a bystander, you're seeing everything around it. So you're not focused on what is going to be in the movie, right? So the director and his assistant and a few others that are in there, maybe some producers or whatever that are paying, they want to see, they get to sit behind the director and look and see what they're filming, what's actually on film. So what will happen is sometimes you'll have the director have the guy pan around, so he's looking, and he'll say, okay, right there, zoom in a little, go up or down, things like that, to change it up a little bit. So the scene that we're seeing when the guy's in the truck fighting the sheep, so you got to remember, it's not, the director is not right there because it's actually moving through the field. Yeah. Then you have the director in his tent, with his little thing, and it's all done with,
I'm actually willing
microphones and stuff.
I'm actually willing to bet that the director was there in the back of the truck with the camera, because he just seems like he's so involved in making sure that this shit comes out right on film. He knows he doesn't have all the money in the world, so I'm willing to bet he's all Sam Raimi right there.
Well, it costs a lot of money to mount a seat on the front of the truck, to where the director can see it from there and stuff like that. So the cheaper the movie, the less likely the director is involved in the vehicle itself, that type of thing. But the couple of the scenes, the truck was probably on the back of a truck, a big flatbed, and then they drive alongside of it while they're filming. Like when they were in the back, the girl and the guy, and he's trying to get the chainsaw started. Now, some of those, it probably wasn't even moving really, but the scene where you see him get it started and he almost falls out and the chainsaw hits the ground, then that's got to be edited together. So that's what a good job an editor could do. See how well he edited that? It looked flawless. He had a flawless scene. It looked like it was an all-in-one take, even though it's impossible because you got zoomed in, backed out, and then you have the inside the truck and him screaming out the window, and all those things all clipped in. It was phenomenal. So I would definitely give it at least, I'd say probably an 87 out of 100 is what I'm going to probably give it. And just little subtle things here and there. I'd have to really sit, and I wish I had time to take notes and everything, because I like to do that, or I pick certain things that I just didn't, I don't know, I just didn't like. But most everything about it was all, kudos to the director and the editing. the people for the props and the special effects. Oh my God, the special effects for this movie, I would give it a 99. That's how good it was. They did a phenomenal job.
I can't disagree with you on that. This movie has very few blemishes on it. It's just mainly the budget is what drags it out of that top tier like legendary status that John Carpenter's got with me.
Yeah.
John Carpenter, Joe Dante, which is funny because Red Letter Media just put out their rankings of Joe Dante films, which is funny because the two guys at the top two for each of them had put Gremlins 1 and 2 in various positions.
Yeah.
Gremlins 2 being a superior film, and if you don't know that, go watch it again. But I think those movies I just listed there, Gremlins 1, Gremlins 2, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, that's for me the top tier of movie perfection. And I know that sounds so weird, but I think those are really good. That's just my perspective. I was raised on practical effects, Godzilla films, funny 1950s sci-fi. 60s, I don't remember really good sci-fi in the 60s. I really don't. The 50s was the banger fucking decade for it. And we got it back after Star Wars. Thank God for George Lucas. And then all of us had, we had Kenner toys as kids. We had play sets as kids. We had an imagination. You're given Dungeons and Dragons and these wonderful, wonderful fucking miniatures that keep being printed out at an alarming rate every day. And so things like that, it just fires off your imagination. And you have a movie like this that comes out with a director with a vision and a few $100s, and it comes out just as a banger of a film, a high water note, a great director, and he's making a sequel now. It's in pre-production. They're going to work.
And this is what I wanted to say about that real quick. What I hope and pray is that he uses practical illusions and things like that for the movie and doesn't use all CGI.
I didn't see any CGI in this
No,
movie.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But making a sequel to it, I don't know. I hope they don't ruin it with that, because to me, I still love it. I hope that, if you look back and you look at the movie The Thing and you look at American Werewolf in London and some of the other movies like that, Fright Night, that was all done with practical, whatever they could come up with and how they could make it look realistic, by pushing his hand in there to push the face coming out, all those different things. That's all hands on. And it just takes so much more to be able to create something like that compared to just pushing a few buttons on a computer.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about. And if people will buy tickets and show their appreciation for a movie that's made like movies used to be made, right? With real practical effects, where someone really had to think about it. Like if you think about the whole thing with Star Trek and in the second generation, where Geordi was wearing an actual hair comb, the clamp, and they sprayed it and they put it on with magnets on the side of his face. You just don't see that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Using their imagination to come up with something like you do for our games. That's one thing that you do, is that you dig around through all the stuff that you've done and worked on to set an image for us, for it to unfold and help us bring out more of our character while we're playing, because we're not a video game. It's in our imagination, and all we're doing is getting little tidbits to add to it so we can add our part of our imagination to whatever it is you're trying to unfold for us. And that's what's I'm worried. That's why I'm loving the fact that more and more kids are really enjoying playing a role-playing game, because it has to come from here, not from the TV screen where you just push a few buttons and whatever happens. You know what I mean? I love that.
Here's why I think that your fear of this not being a CGI shit show is going to happen. The most well-regarded horror films of the last 20 years are practical effects heavy, if not completely all practical effects. And I'm going to say things like this film right here. I'm going to say Feast, even the 1, 2, and 3. The majority of them, majority of any effects you see in the movie Feast is like all practical effects. You see a guy running in a giant rubber suit, a monster. It's a guy in a giant rubber suit, fucking filmed in New Mexico and Arizona or wherever they filmed it at in the American Southwest, sweating their balls off. And so all these films that have preserved their class over the course of time are not CGI shit shows like the movie The Thing 2012, where you have guys like me, which will throw a television out a fucking window rather than watch that garbage ever again.
Yeah.
That movie is such shit. And I will never fucking watch it again. I'm so happy. And I can say that because the first viewing was enough. The final 5 minutes where they tie it to The Thing 1982 made me pissed off because it's like shackling Marilyn Monroe to like any trash modern starlet today with zero class. It'd be like hitching Jasmine Crockett to Marilyn Monroe. Like, why the fuck are those two together? There's like something that's like gold and pristine. We'll never have it again. John Carpenter did good here. Then you have the prequel, which is just this pile of dung, fucking material that I could have done a better job of filming with these miniatures and just some fucking steady cams and John Dykstra's 1977 equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to Lord, I swear upon my blood that that movie is probably one of the worst commitments ever put on film. And I feel so sorry for the guys that worked on the special effects for it because they made wonderful practical effects. But shortly before the movie is originally released, the fucking production house comes in and is like, yeah, we're not going to do this. We're going to make all the special effects CGI. You guys, you did shit. Get out. And so they were heartbroken, and they went and they made a movie called Harbinger Down, which is a homage to Alien and The Thing because it's an isolation movie with a monster in it. And the only time they use the CGI is to take out the wires with the practical effects. So that was the only point where they used CG, the computer graphics was just to get rid of that little line you have. That's it. But Harbinger Down's a fine movie. Lance Henriksen was in it. I think the movie was kickstarted for like 300,000 or maybe 3 million, but it was a good movie. But that's another film that is much more well regarded than pieces of shit like The Thing 2010 or whatever. Whenever that was released, like I can't shit on that movie enough. I couldn't go to a hot dog eating contest and load up on garbage to just shit on that film. And I would try because I have tried. I can deride people for like it's the same thing like when you find out one of your friend's sisters has turned into a Muslim and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know? It's of disbelief, like, but you're into women's lib and you're into like, you know, being free and happy and all this. What made you like go and shackle yourself and like look like an American trash bag shuffling around the streets of New York? I don't know. But if by the way, if my bigotry offends you, go fuck yourself. And so I'm very happy to just say we have low water marks in our life and our reality. And then you have occasional points where you'll see like a piece of older equipment and you go and you give it some time and attention. This movie's like 2 hours long. It's well worth your 2 hours. A lot of people will tell you a 90-minute movie is perfect. No, wrong. If a movie can hold your interest and continue to keep your imagination entertained, even with slower pacing or longer pacing, whatever it may be, however long the film has to be to make the point and get from the start to the finish, and you've got everything you need to see to recommend it or not recommend it. That's how long a movie needs to be. This movie is about 2 hours, 2 hours and 2 minutes, or an hour 57 minutes. I don't know, but it felt like it was a good length movie because there's a lot of different scenes. They do some filming in parts of New Zealand that you would have never thought they would have actually taken time for. In fact, where they do the shearing scene, that's like a nationally regarded landmark because that's where the majority of shearing in New Zealand takes place. The sheep that are sheared, like there's a majority of them in the nation that are funneled through that building. So
see, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you if you'd ever seen a baby sheep, you know, a newborn one.
Not newborn.
Okay, well, I've seen lots of documentaries because I love animal documentaries and stuff, and I have seen baby sheep, baby colts, baby cows, lots of puppies, and
Yeah,
kittens. And
like about a week old sheep, week old calves.
the scene where the one that he busted on accident when he fell in the woods, right? And
Yeah,
it ends up biting his ear and all that stuff.
that was a
Well,
wonderful
it,
scene.
it starts crawling, I guess, trying to get to the sounds of all the sheep making in the distance, and then you see it crawling up the hill. And you see a real live sheep because you can tell it's real, and it's standing there looking down, and you see this puppet that's crawling up there. So it had to be on some kind of a string or whatever they were pulling up to the hill, right? Somehow, because it looked so real, and it has that long cord coming from its stomach. And then you see the sheep bend down and sniffing on it, a real sheep, and then you see the puppet grab its nose, and that's the first one you see on the street when they park or they pull up and they stop because the guy's going to try to get it over the fence because for some reason it's not in the fence, and you can see the blood on its nose, that type of thing. So that's when now the sheep are infected. It's going to be infected that way. But it was very realistic, and I have seen now it looked deformed from and premature a little bit and stuff. So, but they did a great job making it look like in the tubes and stuff that they had them in, that said biohazard, and then it said to get rid of it for disposal or whatever, all that stuff. It looked legitimate. And then to see that guy, the lab coat guy, go to that hole in the ground, that was one of the things I had a hard time dealing with, was that the way they had that set up. But that was the director's point of view. I guess they already had a hole in the ground, so they thought they'd use it for something. I don't know.
I mean, they had the hole there. Let's use it.
Yeah, so that right there was all right, but the fact they opened up those jars and just dumped whatever down in there, it was gruesome. I mean, it really was. And then later, when you had to have that, because you saw when the young couple fell down in there and they're just face first and it's all in their mouth and their eyes and stuff. It was gruesome, and you could just imagine how bad it stunk, because we don't know how long they've had this scientific stuff going on. Apparently from the two people that were there to cause problems, it'd been there for a couple of years at least, because it'd been 15 years between when the boy was terrified in the barn by his older brother with the crucified sheep. And I remember telling my nephew, he didn't really hurt that sheep when he had that axe. So I felt like I was trying to like keep everything in a little package or whatever. But yeah, it was they did a great job. They really, really did, to make it as realistic as possible, knowing that there's no such thing as a sheep that eat meat or whatever. But it was good. It was really good. If you like horror, which I love, and I love sci-fi, and comedies aren't my favorite. So sometimes some comedy just kind of very dry for me, and I don't like dry humor really. And British comedy is very dry, so it's very few British movies that I really like. But this one was had a lot of tasteless, you know, derogatory humor in it. But overall,
derogatory humor. It's New Zealander humor.
Whatever it was.
This movie is okay. And it's not like this is okay. This was not filmed in your county. This was not filmed in a Louisiana parish. Okay,
no.
This movie was filmed somewhere else where there's a different culture almost altogether.
Yeah, see, that's what I was worried about. A lot of people, if you haven't watched, like Shaun of the Dead and other British leaning movies with the
I think
driving on the other side of the road and things like that, you might not get a lot of it. But see, my mom loved what was the name of that show? Some comedian guy, and he did stupid shit on it. Benny Hill or something like that. My mom loved that. My grandma loved it. So I saw a lot of, the slapping the bald head and just the doofus stuff they did. And then you had the other guy. There's two or three, funny comedians that had that British accent and stuff. So, honestly, though, the accents didn't bother me at all from the people. It didn't take me away from the characters at all. Did they for you?
I thought it was just a movie where I was the Outlander and I was watching a snippet of New Zealand life, and I didn't give a shit about the accents and the humor.
Yeah,
I actually made
humor
it
was
fast. In fact, I think this movie
over
has
the
a
top.
higher standard on humor than Shaun of the Dead, because Shaun of the Dead is a very dry humor. It's very good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
This
But
was better for me. I enjoyed this more
This movie,
than I did Shaun of the Dead.
I've only seen Shaun of the Dead 2 times, and I'm going to watch this movie more than I'll watch Shaun of the Dead. I guarantee it. In fact, like I said, I'm going to watch this movie on Thanksgiving with my cousin and her kids. And more importantly, when I go home or I get my parents to finally come down to Texas again, we're going to watch this movie as family, because my father would find this movie hilarious. I think he would be like, "That movie's rough. It's gross." I'm like, "Dad, come on. We have so many farmer friends. If you had your farmer friends here watching this movie, they wouldn't be upset at all. They'd just be finding it hilarious." And they're like, "Yeah, I've kind of done that for you."
How good did this movie do over there?
Okay, they were proud of hitting $5 million.
No, I know, but I mean, in New Zealand, how well did it do in New Zealand itself?
Okay, so reading from Wikipedia, it premiered at the 31st Toronto Film Festival on September 10th, 2006 as part of the Midnight Madness series, and was theatrically released in New Zealand on March 29th, 2007. Black Sheep was released on DVD and Blu-ray on October 9th, 2007 by Icon Home Entertainment. In Spain, Manga Films released it on August 15th, 2007 in a double session Grindhouse lookalike after Severance, which is not as good. Warner Home Video via Manga Films and the successor Virtus 360 released the film on DVD November 20th, 2007, and in Blu-ray March 2014. There's new Blu-ray release going to happen this year, I believe, because we're putting out the sequel. Here in North America, IFC Films picked up theatrical distribution, and Genius Products and Weinstein Company released a DVD via the Dimension Extreme label. There's not a Blu-ray release for this region. So, on Rotten Tomatoes, their aggregator says that 71% of 96 surveys gave the film a positive review. The average rating is 6.4 out of 10. Consensus reads, with an outrageous premise played completely straight, Black Sheep is a violent, grotesque, and very funny movie that takes B-movie lunacy to a delirious extreme. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 62 out of 100, based on 17 critics indicating generally favorable reviews. The positive review from the Houston Chronicle, Bruce Westbrook, stated the film combines many influences with fresh ideas. Nigel Floyd of Out of Time London rated the film 4 out of 5 stars and called it a treat for horror comedy fans. Philip French, writing for The Guardian, called it a lively affair and full of what might be called sheer terror. Andrew Pulver of The Guardian was less impressed. He rated the film 2 out of 5 and wrote that Shaun of the Dead had set the bar high for comedy horrors. Writing for the Zombie Movie Encyclopedia Volume 2, academic Peter Dindal described it as an excellent offering that has zombie sheep every bit as violent and contagious as the infected in 28 Days Later and other contemporary zombie fare. This movie was fairly well received, and then it just kind of went silent for a little bit because nobody was talking about it other than like maybe those 10, maybe those 5 people. After that, it became a hit on home rentals and on DVD sales. I understand why. I completely, Jackie Blue. This is correct. You have to watch this one. And Janet, you were talking. You said Benny Hinn is maybe a comedian. He is a comedian if you take most religious figureheads as a joke.
Oh, I couldn't remember what their name was.
The last pope the Catholics had, he was a good comedian because he said nothing that was in the Bible. And I mean, it was just like everything he was been written is the script writers that did what was that the shitty movie on NBC, not Passion of the Christ. Anyway, the one written by demons, and that was the same shit that the Pope was talking about. That guy's a joke. I'm glad he's gone, but Benny Hill is the funny fucker.
Yeah, Vinny
We
Hill.
all-
He had a little guy that would hang out with him. It was bald, and he would slap him on the head all the time. So my mom just loved it. My mom and my grandma would watch that show,
The
reruns and all, whatever. They just thought it was funny as heck.
the
And there
only
was another one, something in My Boys, or the name it was called My Boys, and it was a man dressed as a woman, dressed as as the mother of these grown sons or something, and it was a British TV series or whatever. I think it was called My Boys, and it was funny. My mom loved that show, so my mom liked British humor, so she watched a lot of British comedy at least. And the other guy, that real stupid detective guy, he's got black hair and wore glasses. What?
Oh, one more thing. That guy, Columbo.
No, not Columbo. He was a British guy.
Oh, I have
And
no idea.
he has big black glasses, and I can't remember what his name is, but I remember my mom liking him, thinking it was funny. So I don't know. I can't remember his name. Maybe someone in the chat might remember, but he has black hair. He's kind of tall, and he's like a cop or inspector or something. So I don't remember, but my mom liked him. But yeah, this was a very well done movie. I mean, I thought it was very well done. You could tell that the people working on it, like I always said, you can always tell because all the way down to the person doing the editing cared about this movie.
Yeah.
They put love and care into it, and you can definitely tell, even though it's a horror. But yeah, it was good. It was very well done, and I'm interested now into finding where do you go from there? Because at the end, remember the dog? He goes, ah, it didn't bark. Remember? So I thought that was interesting. So we'll see what happens. But you saw that, right? The ending.
Oh yeah.
And that's a beautiful sheepdog they had.
Cattle dogs like that are just fun. They just look like they're a lot of fun. They typically, if you bring them inside, they try to herd the family within one room. I don't know if you've noticed that before, but it's kind of how that works.
But whoever they got to be the animal trainers, because I'm sure they had multiple ones, because they had dogs and sheep, and they had different groups of sheep. So I don't know if the trainers for all the sheep were the same person or not, but they did really good at picking whoever they got to make the sheep seem authentic, which I thought they did really good, considering. And then they push in, they had the real sheep there, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it's eating somebody, and they do it really good. The transition's really good about having the puppet step in. So to get the actors that can do that and not crack up or have smiles on their face, because that's a hard thing to do. It's to try to be somber when you're supposed to be sad, and things like that, for it to not be caught on camera. And the continuity was really good, because I didn't see a lot of things that was not supposed to be there, I'll put it that way. Maybe it was because it was so chaotic already, like at the end when you see all the sheep all crammed into that one stall area, and you see his arm up, bloody arm, reaching out, just little things like that. So they did a really good job, and I couldn't really see that many continuity mistakes or anything like that. So that I didn't take off from any of that stuff from my score. Yeah, it was good. If you like comedy horror, you will love this movie, I think.
I would agree with that.
And really great practical effects. You can tell they really put everything into it. That's where I would say most of the money went into. A couple of the sets, and for the the practical effects for the gore and the creatures, when they built the creatures, the big standing creatures. Because have you ever stood on stilts before?
I've tried.
It's really hard, and you got to think about that.
I'm not good at it.
They either had one or two, one guy maybe, but it had two different monsters, right? Were sheep, right? What do you want to call them? And they had to stand on those really funny, weird boots that lift them way up off the ground to build that, the way the legs, bend backward and stuff for sheep. So they did a good job, making them look gruesome. And the one scene though, I just went, oh my God, you got to be kidding. The scene when they heard the shear working, you could hear going off in the background, and they're creeping along, and then they see that guy shaving his leg. It was just so disgusting and gruesome. And then she looked at him and realized he had that bag hanging, that satchel thing hanging on the side, and knew it was her friend. It was disgusting, yet funny. You can't help but laugh because you're supposed to, and you kind of feel guilty, when you're laughing at someone who's in such horrible,
I never
horrible
feel guilty.
predicament. But it was funny. I did laugh a lot, and he laughed. He was sitting here long. He laughed at a couple of things, and he would go like that. That little shocking laugh. So I'll find out, I'll probably get a phone call tomorrow. He had nightmares. I'm like, well, it's your fault. I told you to watch the trailer. So we'll see. But I hope he doesn't.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I honestly feel like that's the most joy I could receive is hearing that he enjoyed this,
Mm-hmm.
and
He did.
the fact that your nephew is well adjusted enough to be able to view it, and he felt all right with us watching it. I'm kind of worried a little bit, but hearing that gives me hope for the future. So I'm just
And it was funny is when you laughed, he was already in a kind of laughing himself. So I think it made him less uncomfortable to hear you laughing. So I'm glad your mic wasn't muted so you could hear him laugh. Because I did laugh, but I didn't laugh in most of the places where you were laughing. I wasn't laughing. I was just going, oh, like when they went off the cliff and they almost those couple of those scenes like that. Yeah. So, but I was petrified because I didn't know what the next scene was. I was waiting to see whether or not I'm going to laugh or gasp. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was good, though. And it was tastefully done, the scene where his shirt's down and you just see the bottom part of his ass.
Yeah.
You didn't see any frontal nudity or whatever. So it was tastefully done, even though you knew what was going on or had went on. He's smoking a cigarette.
I'm happy that everything went the way it did. I was surprised that we had such a good response to it because I was worried that you would not like it, and I shouldn't be, but I was worried that you would be not into it.
It wasn't Terror Train or whatever that one was called. I thought it was called Terror Meat Train or something.
Midnight Meat Train.
Yeah, Midnight Meat Train. Yeah. Oh, that was worse. And I'm sure they had a lot of money to spend on that one.
We have missed our opening for Shark Week this year, so I'm going to pull the Meg from our list and we'll try it for next year. Right now, I'm thinking that for the 21st of September, we're going to watch The Lost Boys. And
a good one.
We'll view that. That seems to be a
Frog
movie.
Brothers.
Yeah, I love the Frog Brothers. I think that's a movie that a lot of people just enjoy, and I don't mind seeing The Lost Boys again. That's actually one of the few movies that I felt is one of the defining movies of the 80s. Without it illustrates so much so well. It's one of the few Joel Schumacher films that actually, for me, is like that. That's his high watermark. So if we ever discuss another Joel Schumacher film, in the back of my head, or actually in the back of your head, just imagine me saying, "It's not The Lost Boys." It's kind of like whenever you watch.
What other movies did he make? Schumacher.
Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm. But that was a totally different genre. To me, you can't compare it when it has nothing to do with each other. You can only compare a horror movie to another horror movie. And only if the genre is the same, if they're both about vampires or they're both about werewolves or they're both about, you see what I mean?
I feel I'm going to break some hearts here. Joel Schumacher is the same tier of director as J.J. Abrams. I don't
He
have,
had a couple of good movies. JJ did. So
and that's it. And the rest of it fills a resume and it pays a mortgage, but it's painful to watch in half of its entirety. For those of you that want to watch all of them, God have mercy upon your soul. So I really do enjoy the thought of us doing Lost Boys. I was going to do that in October, but I was looking for movies and I was seeing that certain torrents were pulled down. I'm like, I'll just grab a hold of Lost Boys. I know where I can pull that, and I know we got people eager to talk about it. I can't wait for October to start because I want the weather to get cool. I'm tired of 97 degrees.
is it going to be a nice October, you think, for you?
No, it's going to be 85 to 95. It's going to be usual, sweaty. Just carry wipes on your person. We'll swipe your pulse every 4 hours. Go home, shower again.
Because it hits 93 here today. I mean, it's hot and humid where I'm at.
Yeah, that's our average this week, if not lower than our average.
It's like, you walk out, your arms are sticking to you and stuff because it's just so nasty. It's like taking a shower and putting your clothes on without drying. That's what I try to explain to people who live in places that's no humidity.
If you don't want to watch The Lost Boys next week, we can watch Terrifier.
I'd never heard of that one. I love Lost Boys. I can watch it.
Because right now, Terrifier is on Tubi, and that's
Terrifier. What's that one about? I don't know if I've seen that one.
The clown. I know for a fact you've seen the clown because I've shared the Terrifier GIF.
I think I've seen the clown because other people have shared it, but I'm not saying I've seen the movie. I'd have to see it. I think it's a movie that I don't think I have seen. I think I've seen snippets of it from friends or whatever, but I don't think I've seen the actual movie.
Yeah,
because he's more like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Character. Yeah. So yeah, he's not. Yeah, this I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we could watch that. That's something that's been told that we could get into, and I'd be kind of okay with that. But I heard Fire 2 is better. I haven't seen any of them. There's the third one that came out, and my friends keep telling me the third one is not superior to the second. I want to start next week with going into suspense and terror and horror movies, and I think that we could go with that, and that would be fine. Fuck.
What happened?
Shit. Okay. Well, instead of terror, tell you what. Yeah, that'll work. Well, I'll find a horror movie to replace the 12th of October, but we'll watch the Lost Boys next week. Fanboys, I will relocate.
Well, didn't I send you a couple horror movies?
Which one? Do you remember?
Let me pull my list up really quick.
Clear your list up.
Just give me 1 second. I got my notepad.
Because Meet Joe Black is on the 5th, and I don't know if you want to watch that for October, but I figured.
Well, I thought we were going to do all scary stuff.
Isn't Meet Joe Black a suspense and thriller film, or no?
I would say more of that is a thriller more than it is a horror movie. So hold on, I got to find out which one I'm clicking on.
The 26th is Sacrosanct. It's Pooh, Blood, and Honey.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Neither have I. Don't worry.
Sorry, I got a lot of notes, so just give me a second.
Oh, here it is. You do have. I know what I want to put on the 12th. It's American Werewolf in London.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I know I've seen quite a few horror movies that I like a lot.
Yeah. We'll watch the Lost Boys next week.
Dracula was also one. The one with
That's in the new one, or the one with Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman?
Yeah, Gary Oldman one. That one. That one's really good.
could put
I
that
mean,
on.
I actually had nightmares. I thought Gary Oldman was so freaking good at scaring the shit out of you.
Yeah,
The scene where he's drinking her blood in the garden when he's got her to leave her room and come down to him in the garden of the of her mansion,
yeah.
and he's drinking her blood. And oh God, that's just so demonic scene. It just gave me nightmares. It was so scary. To see that unfold in front of you like that. And a lot of people I know that watched it said the same thing, that they felt that it was so, like seeing his shadow before you see him, things like that, just eeriness of it, the way the director was able to portray that character. Oh, just frightful,
All Hallows Eve. It was an anthology film, much like the Creep Show movies.
Yeah, that would be good. It's got 3 different movies in it, right?
I don't know about All Hallows Eve. I'd want to watch Creep Show again. The first one.
Yeah, Creep Show's good.
The first one was great.
I think I put that on the list too. But I was trying to find my list. I guess I separated it for some reason from the other notes.
You're going to be walking through your house one of these days. Oh shit! Here's 3 movies I sent Bruce. Why did this get over?
Well, it's on my computer, So.
Yeah, the first one was 82.
Yeah, here they are. Because I've got like Team America Will Police on here.
That's later this year. That's actually one of my December films.
And The Postman Always Rings Twice. But that's not a scary one. That's just 2 of the movies I'm looking at right now in here, going down this list. I have Signs on here, but to me, that's Sixth Sense is more of a horror movie than Signs. But I love Sixth Sense. I think Sixth Sense is a good one too. I'm going down my list right now. Oh, High Tension. That's really scary. Have you seen it?
Which one?
High Tension. It's a European film.
I have that for the next year.
Okay. Well, that's very scary, and it's European, because I like to throw that in every so often. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff on here. Yeah, we got quite a few good movies on our list. I told you we'll never run out of them. There's always going to be good movies that we haven't seen.
We're not going to run out of a whole lot. I just found the Creep Show, so we'll put that on.
Okay.
And I would rather watch older movies that I know for a fact I'm going to enjoy. I don't want to watch 90 minutes of a movie where I just bitch for the next 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, the newer stuff I didn't think we'd do anyways, because we've got so much older stuff that are phenomenal that a lot of people may have never seen or heard of unless we talk about it,
I do have a gift for you in November.
Uh-oh. Which one?
I have a 2 for the 2nd and 9th of November. Operation Swordfish.
You mean, is it the one with Hugh Jackman?
And John Travolta and Halle Berry.
Yeah.
And then the week after that is another Hugh Jackman film called Deception. With Hugh Jackman and Ewan McGregor.
I'll take my 6-foot cutout and put it behind me. Oh, I saved that from a promo I worked. And that's one thing I love about promos is I get to keep the props and stuff, posters and stuff like that. So I love it.
Horny Werewolf Dracula was worse than Man Bat Dracula.
I never saw though either one of them.
Lee Bordelak on Tubi for an interesting take on the vampire myth. Okay.
Haven't seen that either.
What was the one? We'll get into some of these other really good films. All Hallows Eve I want to check out before I actually put it up for review because it's a newer film, and half the time the newer films just cannot compare for some odd reason. They just fall apart compared to like anything pre-2005, and I don't know why. But I think we've kind of done a pretty good job of covering everything, every aspect of this movie. The movie that you guys should watch today, if you haven't seen it lately, go watch Black Sheep. You've got the link. You know what to be.
2006.
Yeah, the Black Sheep 2006 movie is the one you want to watch. It
Mhm.
will surprise you. Uh, I'm I'm happy that I finally got a chance to show this to Janet because
Yeah, I
it's
like it.
it for the amount of money they spent on it. They made a big splash with it, and the people that are involved with it look like they really in their home country of New Zealand, like they are regarded as great actors. The guy that plays Tucker, the dark haired fellow that gets
Yeah.
attacked by the sheep in the truck, he's like one of the country's like finest actors.
Well,
They can
he was great in this movie.
they consider him one of the finest actors in the country, and he was in this movie. So that fucking doesn't help you understand how well regarded this movie is.
Mhm.
I don't know what to tell you, but go see this movie. Black Sheep is
Now, the
amazing.
woman that played the grandmother, she looked familiar. I don't know what I've seen her in before, but she looked familiar. That actress.
I know she's been in some other films. I just can't think of what.
Mhm.
I can't. Uh, and the bad thing is that because this is a New Zealand film, if you
Mhm.
go on IMDb to search for a specific actor, you have to know their name or you have to have a still with their name listed at the bottom of it because a lot of these actors don't have their picture on their bio.
Yeah.
That's the
Mhm.
only negative about this.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. There's a lot worse that's out there in terms of like IMDb hunting. But seriously, go watch Black Sheep. You're in for a treat. You're not. We don't get movies like this that often. If I was a person that went to a South by Southwest or Toronto Film Festival,
Mhm.
and the majority of shit that I would probably see would be just a lot of narcissistic shit on film, but then I'd see this movie, I wouldn't have shut up. This movie for me ranks in that 90% and above tier of films that's so rare for me to even talk about. Movies like movies like The Raid 2, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, uh, Army of Darkness. Movies like that we probably every time a new media comes out and we're forced to adapt to it, those are the films that we're going to immediately hunt down and purchase because we're going to want to see those again and again and again. We want to hand those down to our family, our kids, our relatives, and we can move on because you want them to be entertained too and have something to remember you by that they all enjoy. And they're like, if he was here, he'd be laughing his ass off. And that's just the level of film this is.
Yeah.
Uh, Fantastic film. Thank you, Janet, for being with me on today's show.
It was fun.
Thank you, Hardwick, and to Six Nations 31 Kings for being involved with us so much in the Discord and watching the movie with us. For those of you that don't know, message Janet if you'd like, if you want to be part of the showing. And when you watch these movies, you get a chance to hear me and Janet sometimes snicker in the background and laugh our asses off. It's the way a movie should be.
Yeah. So
Look,
next week we're going to watch The Lost Boys. So if you want to join us about what 12:30 usually
12:30.
12:30 Central Time, make sure you send me a DM and I'll make sure I send you an invite to my Discord if you're not already a member. Then you can watch it with us. Great.
Love to have you in there. And there's some alternate movies I've got on my list that if I can't find something like I can throw it in for a substitution. But this is one of the movies that I've been wanting to see with you for a while because Lost Boys is a classic film.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
good.
good. Never heard anybody bitch about the Lost Boys. Never.
Mm-mm.
Okay. You want to shut us down for the days?
Well, so I say thank you to everyone who wanted to join us today, listen to us talk about a horror comedy that I'd never seen, and laugh at my embarrassment, but whatever. But yeah, it was really good, and thank you so much for hanging out with us on your Sunday afternoon. Appreciate it.